Okay, so what did we talk about last time? Do you remember? Tornadoes. What else?
Dangerous weather.
Dangerous weather.
Polite weather.
Warm weather. Pleasant weather, maybe. All right. So what was hurricanes? So what was the one thing I said we were going to focus the most on? Tornadoes, right?
And how they're formed.
And how they are formed. Look at that one. Okay, so we have some key words we're going to keep in mind while we're going through this, okay? So we have tornado, then a thunderstorm. What is this word?
Supercell.
Supercell. Does anyone know what that is?
So somebody says he's on a boat and it sails off and he yells super.
No, not quite. Yes, Cooper.
Really strong wind.
Strong wind. Okay. So let's keep that word in mind. And you remember saying warm front and cold front, right? Well, that will come into play with the supercell later, okay?
That's why I wrote down on the paper.
So let's look at this video. I'll move it a little bit closer for everyone to see.
Look at.
I'm not going to play it too loud since people are working. But this right here, this is the tornado forming. Make it a little bit easier to see.
It's coming down to the land.
Every time we see tornadoes, they look like this, right? Well, tornadoes actually form like this first. So they're twisting like this, and then they go down to the ground.
Isn't that static at the ground?
You see it pulling it down?
Are they safe right there?
No. No, not really.
But they're in the mountains. I'm not in the video.
And you see, and it just keeps reaching all the way down.
I think I saw that before.
See, look, and then it reached all the way down.
It's about to touch down. And it touched down. That was down at the bottom of the mountain.
Oh. So that was one forming. So let's look back at these. Alright. So how do you think they're formed?
Strong wind that goes together and it's like the strong winds fighting.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, like a cold front and a like warm cold front and a cold front are coming together, then they hit, and then it goes like that, and then they start to get like that, then it goes all the way to.
And then it goes all the way down.
I got one.
Yes.
When two clouds say this to each other, 1v1 me kid.
I don't know if that's right. No. But Cooper was on something. So whenever we're looking at front, he said the thing about fronts, warm fronts, cold fronts. Now, whenever we look at this picture, what do you see?
Cold fronts and warm fronts.
Yeah, so we have the cold air coming in. So what's happening to that warm air?
It's going up to the clouds.
Why is it going up?
Because the cold is pushing it away.
And we always have, so the fronts are when the two air, the cold air, and then the warm air meet together.
Yeah.
And so since the warm air is lighter, it will slip, the cold air will slip underneath the warm and push it up. And then he said, since there's a lot of winds, we talked about the high wind speed.
No, that's not exactly.
So what do you think would happen once they meet?
It hits the cloud and the cloud gets into the wind and gets stuck in the wind and it starts pulling it in there.
Okay, so that is something you have to keep in mind, that wind with
but I don't know how they go together and then they start to go like that because we're protected by the mountains and it can just go straight and then go like that.
Yeah.
So.
Which we don't really hear much about tornadoes in the mountains, do we? Why is that?
Because we're protected by them.
Yeah. So whenever a tornado reaches down, it needs to run on flat surface, right? So if there's mountains in the way, it'll run into the mountains and just disappear probably. It won't keep going and it won't destroy as much.
It'll probably be at the other side of the mountain.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I doubt that, but.
I mean, it could go over like a hill, but not a.
Yeah, a big mountain. So Let's look at more about warm fronts. So when warm air meets cold air, it's called a warm front. And then heat always rises, just like Cooper said. So we see right here the warm air, and then the cold air is underneath. Okay? And then we have cold fronts. And it's the same thing, that's a lot of words, but the cold air is meeting the warm air. Same kind of picture again.
It meets the cloud.
Clouds. Because once those meet, since they're not equal, what forms?
Tornado.
But what forms first? Why were those clouds there?
Because it was
So
raining.
to make the color and the so the wind and because all the clouds power, because clouds actually have like a storm. And
What do we call a bunch of clouds? That whenever it starts to rain, what do we call that? Storms, thunderstorms.
Actually, clouds are really fluffy.
I just finished a book about tornadoes. I survived the Joplin tornado, 2011.
Well, you can use that to help you with
Whenever
this.
I was born, 2011.
It was before you were born.
So this is the supercell we were talking about earlier. We said the thing about the thunderstorms. Well, thunderstorms are just called supercells whenever we're talking about tornadoes. So a supercell and a tornado are the same thing. Does that make sense? So it's basically the same thing. So this right here would be the supercell that forms the tornado that's down there. And the only way that works is whenever what is faster? What has to be faster for a tornado to be
Wind.
faster? Yep, the wind speed. So with the higher wind speed, the faster the tornado will go.
I heard this on the news where this guy he got trapped in a bunch of he survived a tornado and his family got lost in his kids and stuff, and he found him at a broken down house.
Wow.
They'll still alive somehow.
Yep, they
Like
can be
the
very
whole house
dangerous.
I watched YouTube before like somebody was like actually like from right here like 3 times the playground size of that, and he was videoing.
Somebody was 3 times.
That is still wrong. So
Can't even see me, Katie.
now where did my there it is. There it is. Alright, so now we're gonna look at what happens when those two warm fronts and cold fronts meet. So when they collide. So I'm gonna skip through this just a little bit after the ad.
He's ugly.
So we're gonna look. He's gonna explain.
Cold front is actually the border of 2 different air masses. When it moves
So it's cold and
the
warm.
air goes underneath the warm air. It's heavier, it's more dense, so it sinks. Warm air, on the other hand, is lighter.
And see, and that's the same cloud that you were talking about earlier. So that cloud is forming because the warm air and cold air have slipped.
Yeah, like they're going around the cloud.
And then finally they'll start twisting this way and then move down that way.
First they're going like that, and they're hitting into the cloud, then they're bouncing off.
Mhm.
Kind of
And then
like
they
you're
hit.
making one of those bowls with that stuff.
Like it hits it, goes around, then they come together and hit, then they just.
Yeah. And
It's
they
kind of
just.
like you're making a bowl.
Just a little bit more
So let's
visible.
look at what he does with this. So there's red water, which is the warm water, and then the blue is the cold water. So let's watch what happens.
Helps to have a towel nearby. So cover up the warm red water, flip it upside down, and put it directly onto the cold glass. You separate the two, and well, basically we've created a front. We now have the separation of the warm water on top and the cold water on the
Now
bottom.
this part, I don't know how he does this, but
Yet, because that's how it started, right?
he does
It's
this.
more impressive when we move it onto its side. Just like when a cold front comes in, the hot water
So you see how the
stays
blue
on
is going
top
under and
of
the red is coming
atmosphere.
on top?
Cold water down at the
It's
bottom.
called
The
science.
purple that you
That's
see
how it does
is
it.
the actual front separating the 2 different
It looks like it's just a blob of slime on the bottom.
It does, doesn't it?
Because it's just like not moving. It's just
But even though we saw that happening in water, it can still happen in the air too. So it can happen both ways. So how tornadoes form, we already talked about this. We don't even have to go through this. The higher wind speeds, the fronts meeting, and then they start circulating. So this is what I was talking about. Whenever the wind comes in, they'll start spinning.
That's
Well,
what
then-
I was talking about.
Or you were talking about this one. And then
25
I said,
25 miles per hour, 5 miles per hour.
so it's not even that much wind to start off with. But then the more it starts spinning, the higher the wind speed is. So it's going to start spinning like this, and then it'll slowly start coming down to the ground.
So from the weather we've had so far, I'm surprised we haven't had a tornado.
I know. It's kind of confusing, isn't it?
But I don't know how they. But how do they? But how do they like get to the bottom? Like how do they come down to the bottom?
Well, whenever we saw that last picture, well, not this one. Whenever we saw this one, you see how the rain, all of the rain, and the rain pushes it down. But also, the air will get so heavy that it has to fall down anyway. Does that
And
make sense?
sometimes the rain, it, like you know, when something fast just goes right by you, and then some wind goes on your face and stuff, like it brings the wind down with it.
Mm-hmm. So it's just it's weighing down, so it has to level out somehow.
And this looks like a bunch. Go back.
Go back.
I just popped my
That looks
finger.
like a bunch of people. That's just white or straight.
Yeah.
It looks like a bunch of
Maybe.
people just jumping out of a cloud. Get him!
So you guys ready to make your own tornado?
Yeah.
So we'll show you what we're
Michaela
gonna
made
I
a
know
tornado with her water bottle.
Yeah, she just shoved
do.
it.
Yeah.
I know that's what we're gonna do. So I have all of these water bottles. And what we're gonna do?
Okay.
I'm gonna
I
use
colored
you as
some
my
green.
volunteer, okay?
Oh, I want to be a
I
volunteer.
colored
I'll
some
come
green.
over here to the sink. Actually, I'll hold it right here for you. And I want you to pour it out till you get it all right there.
Okay.
Just look here for it. Like that. So you see how she's just pouring a little bit. Do a little more. Yeah, like that.
Okay.
Perfect. So you see how much she has left?
Mhm.
Right. Set this back up here too so that we can.
Is it low?
No? What do you think? So whenever, yeah, that's right. See, I was gonna ask you what you thought.
Okay, I was just shaking a water bottle and I was to like pressure.
Do we need to
it
put the
with
lid
water
back on?
bottle.
Yeah, I'm gonna let everyone else do theirs.
Do I pour mine out?
Yep, you can pour just about the same amount.
Let me see what happened.
I didn't get you one, Jason. Let's see about how much that has.
Oh, little line.
Here we go. Yeah,
She may have to open that.
Little line.
I just, I don't know if that is.
See, actually, I'm gonna leave it closed the other way just so it won't leak. So we'll let you pour just a little bit.
Yeah, this one is. Oh, he needs it.
Okay, there's yours.
I need a little bit more now.
No, that's okay. It'll still work.
Are they still videoing? Does it close tight or something?
Yep.
Bye-bye.
No, not after we're done with it.
Are we putting
Like, why can't I drink it down?
Can we put
Okay,
colors in it?
Just a little bit.
Why can't I just drink it down to where it needs?
Well, if you want to, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you may just want to pour it out when you get done with it.
Is that good?
That's good. We're good. And then it's already working, isn't it?
I did.
Perfect. Look at yours.
Sometimes.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I want you to open it back up.
Put my bag on top.
You put it back on. Now, this, what is this?
It's liquid dish soap.
It is dish soap. So, we're gonna put just a little bit in there.
Just a little bit, like a drop. Oh, wow. No,
Just a few drops.
don't do it yet. It's just toasty too.
Very careful. It's just so it should be good.
Oh, I'm so satisfied. Tell me when it's done. It looks super satisfying.
It's like glitter.
Yeah.
Like that.
Do a little bit more.
What is like glitter tomatoes?
This is so you can see it a little bit.
Good.
Let me put just a little bit more in.
Can you put me a little bit more?
What would it be too so?
Ketchup.
And that-
Tell me if I'm good, okay?
Okay, so the directions say we're gonna just put a little pinch in there. Okay.
All
Look.
of them?
Well, I don't know how they would look at all of them, but you can try it if you'd like.
Katie, not too much. That's good.
So be very careful with these. Okay.
Can we dab it in there? Can we dab it? Tell me when to stop.
Like that?
Yeah, that's good. That works.
Yeah, like this. It looks so weird. Oh, look at it. It's going to the bottom. It's really cool. Here, I'm going to put another one on top of it. Oh, okay. One of the red ones is falling down.
That's good.
Alright, that should be good. Let's go ahead and put on these lids. Put on the lid. Put a little bit too much.
Is that enough?
Perfect.
It's a perfect combination. There's that.
Can I go zoom in?
I'm gonna use yours as an example. Okay.
But mine has more.
So you see how it's glittery? So all she's gonna do, and if you swirl it like that, you see it?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, please.
You just go, look at mine.
And then you just
Oh my gosh. That thing is so cool. I can't believe. When are you coming back to us?
When you come back.
probably Friday.
Friday.
No.
Can we
So I
do
have
this
one
again?
last thing for you, okay?
Can we take this home?
On Friday. Can we take it home?
Oh, you won't be here Friday? Okay, well, come.
Can I take this home?
Okay.
Here, I'm gonna hand these out.
Please.
But here, we're gonna finish this
We
real
won't
quick,
open
okay?
them. That's free.
So what I want you to do with these, I'll leave this as an example. You can decorate it however you want, but you just need to write down some keywords or things that you've learned about tornadoes.
Can you pull it back up?
Hmm?
Can you pull it back up?
We're gonna do it based on what you remember. Here's some markers.
Can we color it in?
Yeah. Color it. And then that is it.
Dangerous. That was really dangerous.
That works.
I'm just going to color it.
And make sure you put some words, some keywords.
Instead of playing on your phone at your mom-off's thing, you can play with that thing.
Yeah. What? Oh,
Instead of playing on your phone.
I found some of these mirage. Because I got a unicorn thing on it.
So I'm gonna give you 2 more minutes, okay?
Oh God.
We gotta be quick.
Um.
I'll give you 3 minutes. How about that?
Wow.
I think 3 is a good number.
I don't have my keywords there.
We don't have to color the whole thing in. You could do like I did. You see how I did just little squiggles? Some lines too. See how I just kind of went around them? You can do it something
What about
simple.
at the bottom?
Yep, see at the bottom I did just some stripes. And
I need
so you can do it
another
however
color.
you want.
I need another color.
Because this is going to
I have a
show
color
you
that-
what you learned.
I thought we got
And I'm going to take it up after we're done.
Can you give me the blue?
Blue?
And there goes my outlines.
See, you see how I wrote things and then did some little
I'm
squiggles?
using this.
You can use it for 30 seconds and then I'm going to do it.
No,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to. But not 3
You're going to
things
have to think of things that you remember.
I remember the donuts. I'm just covering the whole thing out there.
You have to write some words down on it.
Okay, so.
And now I'm going to take it out. And if you don't know how to spell something, you just sound it out.
Can I say yours?
Okay, I'm going to flash it to everyone for just 1 second. So it's just an example, okay? So it's just what we've learned. We've learned about cold fronts, warm fronts. What else have we talked about?
There. Tornadoes. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that's all I need.
What about tornadoes? What happened?
We made
How do tornadoes form?
Is that how you spell supercell?
Wind,
Okay,
wind and
that's
cold fronts.
supercell.
Very good.
Well, that green one don't really say how it's formed, but it's formed cool.
Yeah.
Why did you put it coming?
I'll make it just a few more minutes after that. It'll be
Is it this time?
Give you a few more minutes.
2 more minutes?
Yeah.
So
Something like
5
that.
minutes.
So what else can you tell me, Jason? What else can you tell me you learned about tornadoes? What about tornadoes have you learned?
They're cool.
How are they formed?
By wind, a cold front, and a warm back. About a warm front and a back.
Right down a cold front. Right. What? Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
What else did you say?
And they slip up into it clouds and it forms.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes like a. Does it have radiation?
What causes this? Does it build?
It's the clouds and the wind.
Yeah. Write that down.
Does it cause radiation?
Radiation.
Or
Radiation's more what kind of weather?
dangerous. Well,
More
some
like,
tornadoes have
yeah, with the sun
radiation.
outside.
Which is correct. Yeah. So I don't have to mess up them.
I just put 2 things for you. The rest of them are
I just put one thing. That's all.
Well, then what is that word right there?
Rotation.
Okay.
Because what happens with the wind whenever tornadoes are formed?
It gets stronger.
Mm-hmm. And then they start spinning, right? Into the rotation.
I'm doing mine like this. So it
Mhm.
makes like, you know, I'm like the big Leo. My brother had puberty and he's only 10.
What is that?
Thunderstorms.
Right there.
Oh, that little blob. That's the inside of it. Cooper, are you done?
No.
Not yet.
You want this whole picture colored?
No, you don't have to color the whole thing.
Can we come back next time and color it?
Maybe. I'm gonna go ahead and take them with those so that we can,
No.
we can wrap it up.
No.
Can we please finish it?
I have to go ahead and end this real quick.
Yeah, we end it.
Possibly.
Okay, guys. Remember puppy dog, guys. Just to keep it,
Make sure this is tight.
okay? It's unique. It's very unique.
Unique.
Never we
Hard work. Make sure they're all on top. Here's down. Good.
Is mine top?
Yep. I'll check yours too. I'm gonna go ahead and
Which
I'm
way
gonna
is
take
top?
these out real quick, okay?
Can you see?
Yeah, what's your
Actually
name real quick?
untightened it. Is it tight enough?
Let me see. You did. Yeah, let's go ahead and put
Wait,
our
I need
names
one
on,
more thing.
and then you can hand it in.
Can we get
What's your name on it real quick?
Wait, no, don't do that. What is that one? Vertical?
Vertical. I like it. You did good. So for the next lesson, we're going to talk more about hurricanes, and that'll be fun, right? We're going to compare.
What about
tornadoes.
sandstorms and stuff?
Hmm?
We learned about snowstorms.
Snowstorms, yep, those are coming up too. But you guys, right?
Oh, Jason, that's the second time today.
You guys did great. Thank you for participating.
Yes,
It was fun.
Oh,